lot of people really like Brad Bird. Here's some of the movies that he's directed. So let's talk about Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland tells the tale of Casey Newton, played by Britt Robertson, who is recruited by a small girl named Athena to help save a futuristic place called Tomorrowland. And she works together with George Clooney's character named Frank Walker, who is an inventor, and the movie starts out with him describing to us his backstory as a young boy. Okay, so let's clear up some misconceptions. From the trailers to this, it made it seem like it was possible that this was all happening in her head. It's not. It does stay in the parameters that this movie sets up, so I don't want people going in with the notion that it's all in her head, waiting for some excuse for it to say so. It does have some fantastical elements to it. Okay, let's talk about some of the positives. I really enjoyed the scope of this. Hugh Laurie as the bad guy was good. The young actress who played Athena was very good. And the young boy who played the younger version of Clooney also did a very good job. Beyond that, the production design maybe? Okay, let's just move on to the negatives. The acting. There is something off with the acting from the main character in this picture. Most of it, I think, had to do with the script. The dialogue was not all that well written, and the execution of the story, I know, wasn't all that good. It became glaringly obvious that Casey was supposed to represent the audience, as she would at times narrate what we were supposed to be thinking for a scene. The story, the pacing, at times was not all that good, and there were many logical inconsistencies. I can't talk too much about it without spoiling some things of the story. Just be aware they set up some deterministic principles in this, and people don't behave or adhere to those principles as it unfolds. Yes, I'm a little bit nitpicking. So you can see the direction that we're going in. I wasn't a huge fan of this, and many people will want to stand behind Brad Bird for his earlier works. So let's just move on then to the scoring. Acting, directing, and story are out of a possible 2 points. The acting, I wanted to give a full 1 point, but I'm going to give a 0.5 out of 2 for the acting. The directing, okay, I'll give it a marginal pass, 1 out of 2. The story, it did have some whimsy, it did have potential, so I gave it a 1 out of 2 for the story. The cinematography was the best thing about this, actually. Some of the visuals they went for I really liked, despite the fact that some of the CG work wasn't all that good. Jetpack scene. Okay, so the cinematography I gave a full point, 1 out of 1, and that brings us to the score. The score, it was noticeable. It did have some nice sounding pieces to it, but I felt like it was a little too hokey at times in the aspect that it was a little too over the top, but I can understand that it would work for perhaps a younger generation of people. So I gave it a 0.5 out of 1 for the score, and that brings us to the watchable factor. And for the watchable factor, I gave it a 1 out of 2. This is the type of movie that you will want to watch once, but for me, I never want to. I'm done with it. I don't need to see it again. It was so close to being a 0.5 out of 2, a movie that you'll only want to see free, but it did have some, some appeal to it. So I'll stand by the 1 out of 2 for the watchable factor. Okay, Adding all that up, that gives us a 5 out of 10 for Tomorrowland. Let's get out of here.